you some unfun things, maybe. I'm doing some housekeeping things. One of our sponsors, Millennial Brewery, donated water. You will see the water coolers located strategically in the lawn and around the door out this side. All right, Jay Johnson, raise your hand. Robert McDonald, raise your hand. All right, those are my back. So if anybody gets out of line, you may be asked to speak to one of them. And I don't know about you, but they're a little bit big and scary, so, you know. I also want to point out, where is Officer A-Rod, or J-Rod, where are you? He's in the back. All right, so that's another one of my friends. He's kind of big and scary with the vest. All right? So, a couple of things. We have porta potties that are located in this back parking lot over here to my right, your left. My fire guy who is here from the city of Fort Myers says if you do not have a chair and you are under this pavilion, you need to be seated. All right? With exception to the media, you need to be seated, and that's for fire safety. Okay? Nobody can sit behind us over here because if there is a fire, the Marine unit has to be able to get in through that. All right? It is very, very hot. If anybody during this presentation feels like they're going to faint, pass out, or need water, flag me down. I'll be walking around. I will bring you water. Okay? All right. My last bit of maybe unpleasantries is this. We are all passionate. We are all here because we want solutions, and I get it. But I'm going to ask you one time to please be extremely respectful of one another, our political leaders who are here, okay, and you fellow residents, our community, all right? So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my friend, Erin Brockovich.
In order to be brief, I'm going to use talking points. Good afternoon. My name is Erin Stout, and I'm the president of the Uncommon Friends Foundation, and I welcome you to the beautiful Burroughs home, where we have gorgeous venue on the river. We manage this home in partnership with the city of Fort Myers, and we hope that you enjoy this property as much as we do. Before I move forward, I would like to introduce a couple of council members and our state rep that are here today with us. I might have missed somebody, but we do have from the Fort Myers City Council, Listed Boucher. From the city of Sanibel, we have Chauncey Goss, who is on their council. And last but far from least is our state representative, Heather Fitzenhagen. And I want to recognize those sponsors, Millennial Brewing, New Beginnings DJ Services, Bubba's Roadhouse, Garden Street, and Nickel Ride. Thank you to our panelists today for helping us coordinate these efforts, and to the many civic and environmental organizations for inviting Erin to the beautiful Southwest Florida that we know and love. To quote our awesome executive director, Jennifer Nelson, our community really rallied together to make today possible, and we deeply thank you. Now, I would like to begin today's panel with one of my favorite scriptures that I think really resonates the most for us. To those whom much is given, much is expected. To me, this means each of us should use whatever gift we have to serve others. And this is what today is about. We are here to listen, learn, and conduct ourselves accordingly. We must show respect and understanding. Our water crisis is scientific, it's been political, and emotional. Our goal for this water quality panel is to expand our advocacy for federal support beyond Southwest Florida's challenges to someone who has been effective in supporting solutions to water quality issues. We are hosting this event to help our community. We want to kick this discussion off with two of our local community leaders who are very involved in solutions to help boost our morale and our economy. Sarah Owen, President and CEO of the Southwest Florida Community Foundation, is here to let us know about Southwest Florida Cares. And Connie Ramos-Williams, owner of Conrick PR and Marketing, who will educate us about our local hashtag Southwest Florida Challenge. And now I introduce you to Sarah.
I love the visual of this. I'm looking around at a community that cares, and right behind me is the water that we care so much about. I just think this is a perfect setting for the conversation that we're going to have today. What I want to share with you is something small but important. I just heard someone from Calusa Waterkeepers share that they had been at the Harry Chapin Food Bank this morning, really kind of diving into the human effect of what's going on with this water crisis. And that is why the Southwest Florida Community Foundation, in partnership with the United Way, launched the Southwest Florida Cares Fund. I'm looking around this room, I know many of you have been donors to this fund, because we're really taking care of the end result of this crisis, and that is humans who are out of work, they're losing their homes, they don't have food. The problem is extremely significant. And that makes your conversation today so much more important, because until we battle this on the front end of the problem, we're always going to be trying to take care of things on the backside like we are right now. So the Southwest Florida Cares Fund was really established to say, how are we going to help our neighbors in need right now? Really take care of their businesses, take care of their homes, take care of their families. The Community Foundation launched the fund with a $20,000 donation. Yesterday, I was fortunate to be part of a check presentation from Bank of America, who contributed an additional 10. Businesses like Sunshine Ace Hardware stepped up and contributed several $1,000s. But the coolest part is when we see those $5, $10, $2 donations rolling in, because sometimes we just feel helpless in these moments, right? We feel helpless, we feel frustrated, and just doing something makes us feel like we're helping those in need. A couple of weekends ago, we did toll raising so that people could get out to the Singer-Songwriter Festival to really try to just boost up people's morale, and that's important as well. So I have deep gratitude. I'm trying to look at each of you in the face to express my deep gratitude that you would be willing to come together and really talk about these issues and see what happens next. And I can tell you, when I talk to the waiter or the wait staff out at one of those restaurants who doesn't really quite know where their next meal's coming, when I tell them I get to look at each of you and you're working on their behalf, that means everything. So thank you so much for that. Now I'd like to introduce my friend and colleague, Connie Ramos-Williams, who owns Conrick PR and Marketing. And she's going to tell you about a hashtag and an effort. Like, what can't be solved with a hashtag, right? So, Connie, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. And thank you to Uncommon Friends Foundation for inviting me out here today. I'm Connie with Conrick PR and Marketing, and I can tell by the amount of people here, there is a lot of passion, as Jennifer alluded to earlier. And we all wonder what we can do to make a difference. And sometimes we can't maybe be the one at the top in Tallahassee making the biggest difference that we need. But we can do our small part. Obviously, the water crisis we have going on right here has had a huge impact on us all personally and economically. The businesses that are out there in Southwest Florida have really taken a hit. But look around. We still live in paradise. We cannot be all doom and gloom. We have to talk to our politicians out there. We have to get this problem resolved. But we also have to make sure that across social media and to our friends, we're reminding them that this is paradise. This is beautiful and it's worth preserving. And right now, we can do a part by taking part in something called Southwest Florida Challenge. Our marketing company partnered up with at least 12 other partners out there, all marketing companies. iPartner Media started it and brought us all together. But the reason this is important, it's an initiative to help businesses in our community. So while you're out there, we live here, we have to protect our businesses and our livelihoods. Be out there. Think about a staycation. Make sure you're going out, and whether you're buying just one or two things at a retail shop, or going to our local restaurant, coming to the Burroughs home or the Edison Ford Place, any of our local attractions, post about it. Put your photos out there. Take a video. And use the hashtag, and I'll repeat it, hashtag SWFL Put it out there. Since we launched this just a week or so ago, over 75,000 people on social media have already responded. It may seem silly to you. It may. But it's a small way we can make sure our locals are engaged. They're not scared to go out there and go to a restaurant on the beach. Go have a staycation at the beach. We may not know yet if we can jump in the water and do all those things. But we don't have to scare everybody to death with that. We need to scare Tallahassee. But we need to make sure we wake up our local community and our tourists and let them know this is still the best destination to come, play, work, and live. So with that, make sure today, while you're here at the Burroughs home, check in at the Burroughs home on social media. Tell them what a gorgeous background we have, beautiful paradise, and put the hashtag out there, SWFL Challenge. All right, we're going to go ahead and start to introduce our panelists. If our panelists will start making their way up to the front. We have Daniel Andrews from Captains of Clean Water. We have John Cassini from Calusa Waterkeeper. Rayanne Wessel from Sanibel Captiva Conservation Fund. And last but not least, and are we not honored to have her come all the way here to make sure we know how important she feels about this, Erin Brockovich. Is an advocate and environmental activist. She's done some great things, and she's been very passionate about a cause that she helped bring a lawsuit together back in California. Here, we're not talking lawsuits, we're not talking anything, we're talking about positive change. We're talking about passion, putting every one of your efforts and energy together to make an amazing difference here. So this wonderful panel is going to start off by discussing a lot of the topics and issues, ways we can make a change, and then we want to hear from the audience. So those of you that do have questions, we're going to have to do this cordially and respectfully. So at some point when the panelists finish with their discussion, behind the podium, we'll have a line of people that can come up to the podium and ask a very brief question. There will be a time limit, so don't be surprised if somebody says, "You're done, over with," they may have to take you off, because we're going to try to make sure as many of you can be heard today as possible. So everybody good? Yeah. All right. Show started. Thank you, everybody.
started? Hi, everybody. You know who I am. I'm Erin Brockovich, not Julia Roberts. I have to tell you, I'm extremely overwhelmed by your response, and I am here for you. I am here for your environment, and I'm a little bit stunned at what's been going on. Since the beginning, you know, people will start to email me, and I was trying to get some sleep, and it was ping, 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 ping. When that happens, something's usually gone on. And it was so many of you sending in pictures, what's happening. I was really taken back. I was sickened, I was upset, I could feel your frustration, your anger, your sorrow, and so I am here for you. I am here for your environment. Look, I'm no stranger to Florida, and yes, Florida has some pollution problems, and you know that's why oftentimes I show up. But I'm here to protect the water. I'm not sure how we've gotten disconnected, but water at every level is life. Water is affecting everything that we do. Water affects your health. Water affects your life, your children, your animals, and here we have water affecting our business. Everything that makes us who we are and how great we are is the water. I've been doing this for 25 years, and I think today is a very good forum for us to help provide you with information. I have found that what frustrates communities, they can handle the truth. What they don't handle is the lie or the cover-up. And I think the way we can help you is by informing you what we know, what's happened, and how you got here. And again, listen, I want all of you to know, I could stand here, we all could stand here and blame everybody for everything. But where's that going to get us? What we need to start doing is getting solution-driven. And how this is going to happen is the first thing I'm going to share with you is Superman is not coming. And I'll tell you, I'm not going to stand up here and change what's happening in Southwest Florida. You are. It will be your voices. And I promise you, it's your voices. And I'm going to say something you already know. This is your backyard. You live it, you breathe it, you swim in it, you work here, you know it. This is your fight. And I'm going to tell you, you need to stand up, speak out, don't go away, be involved, and fight for this. And it will take you to do that. And we're going to help you do that the best we can. I've been saying for a while, you know what? We need a Me Too movement for the water. And we've got to go out there. It's complicated, and it's not always easy to understand. I think we take it for granted that we just turn on the water or we step outside and everything will be fine. But that's not how it's happening. That's not how it's been. So I want to start with, I've been on an amazing tour, by the way, for the past week. A little taken back, it was a little muggier than I thought, a little warmer than I thought. But I started up in Satellite Beach, worked my way down. I had an amazing tour of Lake Okeechobee. I had absolutely no idea the importance of that lake. I've been on a huge learning curve while I've been here. I've had an amazing tour of the Everglades again. Learned something I had no idea. But see, everything is of vital importance around you is this water supply and the unique, amazing ecosystem you have. It's amazing. It's like none other. And that's the truth. And I had an amazing morning out on your river, hence my flip-flops and my hat. I was going to change my clothes and put on my heels, and I thought, what the hell? No way. I'm staying in my flip-flops. You have some wonderful people here. So today is about you. This is about you. This is about how we can get more information to you, because when you know, you will do more and you'll get very involved. So I want you to hear from some of your local community members. And I want to start with a gentleman here that I've worked with, Bob Bocock. How long now? Too long. Too long. 22 years. Bob is my science guy, my water guy. And I've never found anyone that can explain in layman's terms anywhere we've gone throughout the United States about a situation that's going on. I can do it. Bob's better at it in explaining it. So with that, Bob Bocock and I have been together for a very long time. He's a water master. He knows all about water. And he's going to share with you so you understand. We can't fix something, right? Unless you understand how we got in that situation in the first place. So Bob is going to share that with you. This is Bob Bocock.
I don't want to take up too much of your time because I want to make sure you get a lot of questions answered today. That's the most important part about it. All of you coming out today is getting your questions answered. So I'm going to give you a Reader's Digest version or a quick overview of everything Erin and I have seen for the last week since we've been in Florida. I think that's the most important thing that you can do is to get a full understanding. People are quick to blame one entity or another, and it's literally 50, 60, maybe 150 things going on simultaneously. And you have to think of it as beginning at the local level. It really does begin at the local level. And then it goes up to the regional, and then it goes up to the state, and then it goes to our federal government. And they're all doing things that they think are in their right priorities. And the priorities are all screwed up, and they're in conflict with each other. And we can all do something about it so it doesn't happen again. But if you stop all the activities that have led up to today, you've probably got 50 years to go to get this cleaned up. So you need to understand that it's a really big problem. It took us a long time to get here, and it's going to take us a long time to get out. And you have to really look at it all the way up to Orlando Airport. That's where it starts. And the Kissimmee River watershed, and how that was reworked so that what used to take, weeks, if not months, for a drop of water to kind of transverse through this series of rivers and streams and grasses and keep everything clean and natural. The government can cut a channel here. Yesterday's rainfall is gone, and it's down in Lake Okeechobee tomorrow. Okay, and when it does that, it picks up all the nutrients from agriculture and from wastewater systems and from leaching groundwater that's commingled with septic systems. I mean, it is literally everyone contributing to this problem. Some more than others, and there are quicker solutions to getting more pounds of nutrients removed from the system faster. And that's what we're going to do, those local and state, federal legislators to come in and say, that's not going to happen anymore. And when we say best management practices, we mean it. No more of this wet noodle approach. They're going to have to get tough, and the state's going to have to take that leadership role. So that all that high nutrient concentrated water finds its way into Lake Okeechobee, okay? And a lot of different things go on Lake Okeechobee. It is a unique ecosystem in and of itself. It's different than what happens in the Everglades. It's different than what happens on the two river systems that come out to your areas here. And it's important that you understand that. So basically you have a fight against how much water do we conserve for downstream agriculture? How much water do we dump so that we can prepare for storms? What's going on with the nutrient loads? What were our standards that we were supposed to be achieving? Are we even getting close? And the answer is no, and the answer is dump water. And that's kind of what you found yourselves in a situation. You had all that early rainfall in the summer that was unexpected, made some people a little nervous, and they started dumping the water. And then it stopped. And so it's kind of it's back to that issue of priority. So once you get this high nutrient water in here, and it starts coming down the river system here, it's picking up more nutrients. This is your hometown, so you know there's ag on both sides. And there's additional river systems and streams and creeks and septic tank fields and broken sewer treatment plants and broken sewer lines and lift stations, all dumping into this river system. So you've already got a bad situation that's starting. The blue-green algae started to it's funny we call it a bloom because bloom is a beautiful word. You think of a flower. It's a rapid out-of-control process. And so that just gets filled in this lake, and then it starts coming out, and you feed it a little bit more, and you feed it a little bit more, and then those same controls and operations on the system by the Water Management District. How much water do we let out to protect the estuary and the salt balance? And what happens when the nutrients come in and kill the grasses? I mean, it's a compounded situation. Then you have the agriculture area here in red, south of Lake Okeechobee. And this is where the Everglades actually began and where the water is supposed to go down and through and out to the bay. That's not occurring the way it's supposed to occur. As a matter of fact, during some parts of the season, they actually pump the high nutrient runoff or tailwater back into the lake. So you literally just recycle your waste in this big closed loop. And then you have a situation where a lot of things need to take place where they have demonstrated success in putting in aquatic systems that basically go in and clean the water before it gets into the Everglades. And while those are achieving success, they need more. And they need more storage. And there's programs and projects for that. And there's the South Lake Okeechobee storage reservoir that's been proposed. You hear the stories about nobody's going to sell the land, we can't get it done, we've got to is it in the right place. That's a political thing, and that's where, once again, we need to reevaluate our priorities. We're talking about a storage reservoir along the river system here for storage for water, for releases for ecological purposes, and for releases for groundwater recharge for the water supplies to the communities along the river. So you've got things in that program has been approved. It's in the Water Resource Development Act that has been passed out of the House. It's sitting in the Senate. What I hope what I hope to achieve by Erin coming down here and working with all of these interests. I mean, we spent the day out on Lake Okeechobee. We went through the Everglades. We were out on the river this morning. We've been through the watershed. So we've got a good understanding of it. Is to share with you the fact that as Erin and I travel around the world, we meet with people in the state of California where we're from. I serve as a water master with two Army Corps dams in my jurisdiction. And in California, a 10-inch rainstorm is 2 years of water supply, and the Corps says, we're a flood control dam. And they send it to the ocean. So we have the Corps all the lakes, and industrial uses. So from a California delegation, a Texas delegation, and a Florida delegation, and we talk about WRDA and getting the Senate to kick it out, that's where we need to go. It's about cooperation and working together. So I think the message that I want to leave you with, I can get on to questions, is this is everyone's problem. From the person that doesn't pick up their dog poop on the grass as you walk past the waterway, to the person that has the unmanaged septic system, to the industry and the communities with leaking and dilapidated sanitary sewage systems, to the farmer, to the state, to the federal government. So thank you, and I'll let the panel take off.
Forum here, so I'm going to ask you a question because I want it to be your event today. I've had many people tell me they don't know where to go for help. They're concerned, they're scared, they're having health issues. People are very worried about their businesses. There's some local businesses that I would like to come up and share with you because what I've learned is oftentimes we don't know what's happening to our neighbor or going on in our community. So is this something, is a format that's good for all of you? Yes? You want to start? All right, here we go. They're all in agreement, so this is one of your fabulous local community members who's going to share their story.
Erin, thank you very much, and thanks for everybody being here today. And a big thank you to our panel. Erin, I absolutely love your Me Too. And we need to get, it is Me Too, because everybody's being impacted. My name is Richard Johnson. I represent a 119-year-old family business. My daughters are here with me today. I have not seen the level of devastation to my business, nor have the predecessors of the family that ran this business in 119 years that are causing the damage that we're seeing today. My business, my family business, by the way, I have 121 families that depend on my family business to make sure there's a roof over their head and there's food on their table. All of us are at risk. All of us, I love what Bob had to say, this is not a problem that is somebody else's fault. This is all of us working together. And it starts at a local level, it goes to a regional level, a state level. I love the idea that Bob brought up about water is everybody's business. We all need to be focused on what's going on with water, whether it's California, Texas, or right here in the great state of Florida. We all depend on people coming to our state. We all depend on folks coming in and spending money and having a good time and enjoying our wonderful resources. If we don't take care of the problem, and I'm not talking about the symptoms, I'm talking about the problem themselves. If we don't take care of the problem, they're not going to come back. That's going to cause a domino effect, and it's going to be the coastal businesses. It's already killing the captains and the tour guides and such. It's going to be a downstream trickle effect, and it's going to affect each and every one of us. I don't want you to get mad, but I do want you to get motivated. And we want to motivate for change. We've got to change how we manage water in the state of Florida. And Erin's exactly right. You've got to go out, you've got to reach out to your legislators, you've got to reach out to the representatives, you've got to the elected officials and others that are appointed to manage water in the state of Florida. They are appointed by our governor. It is their responsibility to make sure that they manage the water resources for the entirety of the state of Florida, not just certain people or certain industries. It's the one that is for all of us to enjoy. So I strongly encourage you, get motivated, get engaged, get involved, write those letters, make those telephone calls, and if you can, make those visits to Tallahassee. Make the trip across the state to the South Florida Water Management District. Make sure that those folks are hearing what's important to you as individuals and to us as a community. Thank you very much.
John, we have a couple of local businesses that I want to share with you. I did not realize the depth of what this has done to the tourism and the people that have called and canceled, and those that don't have jobs, and shelters are increasing in food lines, and it's like, I'm shocked. I mean, I don't know why this is not national news across America. It should be, and I'm pretty taken back, and that's why I want you to hear from some of your community members and businesses.
Thank you, Erin, and just to echo what Richard has said, we really appreciate your time, we really appreciate you being here, and thank you each and every one of you for coming out today and showing support to our community, and really putting an exclamation clarification point on how important this issue is, not just to us on the island, not just to the riverfront, but to all of Lee County. We moved here, we call this place home because of one thing, and it's the water. We attract hundreds of thousands of visitors every single year, and as Erin just pointed out, we have had just an absolute economic tsunami on the island, on San Juan Captiva, which I represent. I guess I should say my name is John Lyon. I'm the president and CEO of the San Juan Captiva Chamber of Commerce, and about 8 weeks ago, we realized that man, this thing was coming for us, and we put out a survey at the end of July and the end of August, and really just wanted to gauge where this was going economically for us, because sadly, we've been fighting this fight for over 10 years now, and we know, we've come to realize that what gets the most attention in Tallahassee and in D.C. is when you tie it to economic impact into jobs. We represent on Sanibel, over 3,500 jobs. Most of those are tourism driven. We have, most of those are your servers, your housekeepers, your front desk agents, your retailers, and those people are the ones that are affected. There are statistics that show that they're 2 to 3 weeks out from being homeless without a paycheck. And those people right now have had their hours either cut or they're doing jobs that they weren't hired to do in order to keep their hours that they can have, which is ultimately that impacting our businesses and our business owners. In the 8 weeks that we took this survey, we recognized over $19 million in economic impact on Sanibel and Captiva Islands. That's just Sanibel and Captiva Islands. That doesn't touch Fort Myers Beach. That doesn't touch Lee County, the rest of Lee County. And I'm here to tell you that we are not going anywhere. We've got a fantastic island. We've got a ton of small businesses that depend on this. And so we're going to do everything that we can do to support anything that we can in order to get this fixed. So thanks for being here. As Richard said, write, call, do anything that you can, and know that this is not going anywhere, that we have to keep our foot on the gas 365 days a year, even if it clears up for a week. So once again, thank you very much, Erin.
Thank you, John. I'm going to have Jackie come up and speak, but John brings up a good point. And you know, one thing that I want to say to you is I come to communities and oftentimes they don't know. So I want today to be about you walking away with some tools that you can implement. I don't see, and I know it feels like, you know, this is such an assault, but you are not victims. You are going to fight for what's happened. I don't want this to be a panic zone, people leaving. We need to deal with the problem, and I need you to maintain what you love and fight for it. So I want to provide you, as people come up, tools and ways to continue to move forward. You're going to get through it. It's been a huge disaster, but we're not going to get through it if we don't have all the facts and information. So I'm going to have Jackie speak with you now. And yeah, here's Jackie.
I also want to echo everyone. Thank you to each and every one of you for coming out here today, because I know that each and every one of you represent hundreds and hundreds of people in your friends, your family, your co-workers, who you're here to see it, and then you're going to go home and talk about it. I need everybody to go home and tell your friends, tell your family, and tell everyone up north. We need your support, guys, from every other state in this country. We need your support. My name is Jackie Lezak, and I'm the president of the Fort Myers Beach Chamber of Commerce. I'm also a small business owner. I have a very, very small boutique hotel and gift shop, and I have to tell you, I partnered with the Harry Chapin Food Bank to bring the food pantry truck to our island, because we have people on our island who are not eating right now. They are being kicked out of their homes, they're losing their boats, they're losing their cars, captains who are crying on the phone to me, and I know that it doesn't need to be this way. It's so important to get everybody involved, whether you live down here or whether you're in North Florida, Central Florida, West Florida. The worst part that I can tell you is that when you're working at the food bank truck, because you're helping to bring it to the island, and your friends and your family and some of the people who work for you are in that line, that's devastating. It breaks my heart. I don't want to see that, and I don't want to see this water be so dirty and polluted that we can't even have our grandkids come in it. It's wrong. It's wrong. So we need all of your support. Please come out. If you're local Lee County, please come out to Sanibel, come out to Captiva, come out to Fort Myers Beach. Maybe you can't swim, but you can come out and have a drink and watch the sunset. You can come out and have some dinner. We would appreciate your support. And thank you, Erin, for being here. We need your support on this, and we need to make this a groundswell. Thank you to Captains for Clean Water for the excellent event, the excellent example that you're leading. Thank you to Calusa Waterkeeper, and thank you to Harry Chapin. Get involved, guys. Get involved.
Thank you guys so much for coming out here today. There's a lot of people, and as Erin said, a lot of people is what we need. That's how this problem is going to get fixed. I was not involved with this problem forever. I just got involved about 2.5 years ago, and the reason I got involved was because my business as a fishing guide was severely threatened. I was a guide out of Punta Mesa, the marina right before you get to Sanibel, and I grew up here in Fort Myers. I grew up fishing this river here, the Caloosahatchee, with my dad, my uncles, my cousins, and I've seen an enormous change. I can tell you from driving across the bridge or from sitting on the beach, you can see water several times a week or at least basic guides every single day. When you start to realize that just a 5-mile-an-hour difference in the wind can throw off the whole fishery, imagine what 10 billion gallons a day of polluted freshwater that's unnaturally introduced into an estuary. Imagine what that does. What it does is it starts chain reactions, and that's what we're seeing now. When we started Captains for Clean Water, I hadn't seen blue-green algae blooms. I hadn't seen a red tide bloom as severe as the one we have now, and I certainly haven't seen videos of these large black masses of who knows what it is washing up on the beaches of Boca Grande, Naples, all over the place. And what that tells you is that when something in an ecosystem gets out of whack, it throws everything else off. And you start to see these new events like this big blob of black water that just washed in. They start to just kind of spin a cycle of their own. And that's a very unnatural problem that causes damage all the way across the board. And what we're seeing now from this red tide is, you've got complete ecosystem collapse. You've got millions of crabs, the shrimp, little bait fish that are really the foundation of the ecosystem, that eventually they're going to get eaten by something that gets eaten by something that gets eaten by the dolphins and the fish and all that. So it's scary when you start to see that. But it was a wake-up call to a lot of us. I had my wake-up call 2.5 years ago. I'd never been involved with anything politically or anything like that, and I saw it was threatening my business. Now, with what we've seen this year, the blue-green algae, the red tide, now this big black blob of stuff washing in off the beach, I think everybody that lives in the state of Florida has realized if we don't fix our water, we're not going to have anything for the next generation. And it is that imminent. I'm not talking about hundreds of years from now. It's going to be the next generation. The decisions we make today, the policies we advance today or don't advance today, that's going to affect our kids and definitely our grandkids. And getting involved is a lot easier than it sounds. It's not about, not everybody has to get on a plane and go to DC or a bus to go to Tallahassee. Talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends. The first and most important thing that you can do is to educate yourself. If you can educate yourself on this, it's simple. It's not rocket science. We need to recreate a marsh to allow sheep to flow back through the Everglades. We're not talking about putting a man on the moon. We're not talking about anything like that. We're talking about fixing a flood, building a bridge. It's pretty simple. Educate yourself on this and make it a part of your daily conversation. Everybody you meet, everybody you run into, educate them. Don't yell at them. Make an explain what's happening, why it's happening, and what you'll notice is that those people will become more receptive to that messaging. We didn't have this many businesses 2 years ago that were engaged. We had some when we were in Tallahassee last year fighting for Senate Bill 10, and if we wouldn't have had those, we would not have got anything passed. If we can get more businesses, all of the businesses down here, to recognize how great of a threat this really is to our economy, to our way of life, we will see change. And we're not seeing people leaving this movement, we're seeing people at an exponential rate get involved. And that's the formula that it's going to take to see change. More and more people getting involved in a lot of different ways, talking to these businesses and getting them up to speed. So again, thank you all for showing up today. This sends a very strong message, and we've got everybody here from the media showing all these people that are here, and we've packed the house and then some. That's what our policymakers need to see, and that's what other businesses need to see, because you guys are their customers. You're the customers of the businesses here, and they need to see how important this is to you. So give yourselves a pat on the back and a round of applause. Thanks for coming out today.
Dana brings up a really good point about this not being rocket science. And, you know, I've seen communities pull away because they think it is and they shouldn't say anything or they don't know. And it reminds me when I started my work in Hinckley, California, way back at Greenwater and two-headed frogs. And I'm being told by officials that's normal. To your point, you don't have to be a scientist or a doctor to call bullshit on that one. All right? I have found that what happens to communities is you're seeing what you're seeing and dealing with what you're having to deal with, but there's going to be a whole constituent that wants to convince you that that isn't real and that's not going to hurt you. So you know better than that. And when I did my work back in Hinckley, I heard from everybody. And again, all these points about, we don't have to make this an argument. It shouldn't be an argument. This is a common denominator for every single one of us. But there will always be somebody that wants to push and say, you're not this or you're not that. I got to tell you something. I don't have to be any of that to be a human being and to tell you I care and what's happening is wrong. And that's precisely where you need to continue to hold your ground. You, by all means, whether you are a doctor or not, or scientist or lawyer or politician or anything, do not stand down. Stand up. You live it, you breathe it, you own it, you speak about it. And if I need to be here today to tell all of you, if you're looking for permission to speak up and to speak out, you absolutely have my permission. Speak out. I'm going to have the river keepers come up and talk for a minute and take some questions from the audience. But I do want to get into in a minute how some of you are feeling and if you're having health effects and where you can go to and how we can start getting some response. This is a new bacteria, so there's going to be some unknowns. So this is where you're going to have to really kick in to your own common sense. You know, I don't even have to tell you. You know if you're sick, you know if something's going wrong, but don't be afraid to tell people. I'm not certain I'd swim in that yet. I'm a little concerned what's happening with my health. So I want you to know we're going to have a conversation about that, but I'm going to have the river keepers come up first. Who wants to start?
Hi, folks. I just want to acknowledge and thank Jennifer Nelson and Erin and all the folks here that are so concerned about this issue. I've been doing advocacy for a long time in Southwest Florida. Typically, we have 20 or 30 people come to an event. The last 6 weeks, I've been at 4 events with standing room only with more than 500 people at each event. So, we are on the verge of something extraordinary. I've never seen anything like this before. And you're going to have an extraordinary opportunity in about 6 weeks
to bring about policy reform in the state of Florida. There is so much at stake. There's never been more at stake. The liquid heart of South Florida, Lake Okeechobee, is on a tipping point. If it crosses that tipping point, we may never get it back again. There is so much at stake. The grass in this estuary, over 1,000 acres, has been gone since the year 2000. Our economy is in trouble. There is so much at stake at this point. I cannot emphasize this more. You're going to have to become the civic engagement pros like Erin and so many of what you're doing now. Here's the thing. You've got to be persistent. Who's the most persistent person you've ever known? Erin Brockovich. So, when the water starts to get a little better, are you going to forget about this? Good. That's all I wanted to hear today. So, we're doing our best at Inclusive Waterkeeper to try to bring some emphasis to public health issues. I've never seen a government that just wasn't ready for this at all. And we've made some recommendations to perhaps bring about change. We can't do it. Inclusive Waterkeeper can't. You have to do it. You have to be the one to bring about change. So I'll let it go at that. But I can't tell you how much I'm blown away by community. It's an affirmation that gives me hope once again. You folks are fantastic. Don't forget. Thank you.
Hi, I'm up here for fun stuff again. We had a bike break off of Hugh Street, so if you own a white Ford Escape, and if this license plate sounds familiar, JFAW89, we need you to move your vehicle, otherwise the city's going to tow it because they can't get through to fix the pipe. So if you own that vehicle, please move it, okay? All right, thank y'all. And this is to our panelists. When you guys have these microphones, our DJ Robert and our guests back in the back can't hear you. So you need to hold it up here, okay?
Who's that? So you're going to come on up and talk? We're going to finish with in charge Marge here, the Caloosahatchee River, which she's amazing, and it's an amazing system. And then we're going to kind of get to some question and answers and give you some strategies moving forward, because I know some people out here plugging in really hot. All right, good afternoon. My name is Ray Ann Wessel. I'm the Natural Resource Policy Director for the Sanibel Captiva Conservation Foundation. I want to start, before I really started my comments, I've been made aware that at 2:18, we will all be interrupted by some kind of an emergency alert coming over our phones, some test. So I want to take this little moment to say, would you put your phone on mute or turn it off or whatever you need to do just so we don't all hear the alert, the test system. So one thing I want to say is that it's very important where you get your information, especially when there's a crisis, especially when there's an emergency. It's important to know that you can trust where the information is coming from. And so I want to encourage you to recognize that, for example, the Sanibel Captiva Conservation Foundation is just about to start its 52nd year of doing conservation science and research. The Waterkeeper has emerged with my dear friend who has been here for 40 years like myself, and Daniel Anders is our next generation. But we work together because we understand that facts matter and where you get your information matters to inform your opinion and your actions. So I want to encourage you to go to our websites and take a look at what's going on. Sign up to get alerts directly to your inbox, because that way you'll hear about things on the front end, and that's important. Years ago, I coined the term the Goldilocks condition for the Caloosahatchee, because
This poor river, this historic, beautiful river, has a dual problem. We have too much water when we don't need it, and we get too little water when we do need it. And so we are inexorably connected still to Lake Okeechobee, and during that dry season, that's where our water supply comes from to help manage the salinity in this lower estuary, the nursery of the Gulf of Mexico. But it's got to be clean water. This is part of the problem. We all know, right, that it is a nutrient problem. And our water quality problems are state issues. There's something we can do something about on the local and statewide level. We don't have to depend on the feds for water quality. But I think you're hearing a unified idea that we all do it together and pull in the same direction. I want to suggest that in my meeting a couple months ago with the governor and the DEP secretary who arrived to tour the Caloosahatchee and see the emergency, I asked about the protocol for who was responsible for notifying the public that blue-green algae is a public health condition. It is a dangerous problem that doesn't have the early warning systems like a red tide does. Red tide, you feel it right away and you might stay away. But blue-green algae, unless you get into some backwaters, it doesn't have that same warning. And yet, it has been clearly connected to Alzheimer's, ALS, and Parkinson's. That's important. That's public health. The prime directive of government must be to protect the public health. So when I asked the governor, I said, how is it that when I called the Department of Health, as before I even met her, she's reinforcing that we call the Department of Health, I said, when are you going to put up signs? And when are you going to inform people about what they need to do? And the Department of Health said, well, that's not our job. They said, you should call the city, call the county, call the Corps, the beach, the boat ramp, the park that is under the jurisdiction of those agencies. They're the ones that will make the call. I said, you know what, they don't know that, and that's not written anywhere. So I played along. I called the county, I called the Corps, I called the city, and they said, no, we wait for the Department of Health to tell us now. So we have a big circle. This is something that's easily fixed. One central agency that deals with water quality instead of 5, which is how it's set up now. Standard protocols for how to deal with the public health crisis. EPA has over 20 states that have signed up with protocols for blue-green algae. It's not just us. This happens worldwide and nationwide. Florida is not one of those 20. That's another easy fix. We wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel. We just have to put some protocols. At the heart of both the blue-green algae bloom and the red tide on the coast is nutrients. That is the common denominator, the common ancestor that they share. Those we have to start preventing more pollution from getting into the water, and we do that through having well-informed scientific standards that are implemented and enforced through the state, and we all have to demand that change. So my challenge to you for this coming legislative session, after you vote, because voting is the one thing that you can do to change the world, is help us unify the move forward on water standards that really can clean up this river. Remember, the Cuyahoga River burned in 1969 in Ohio because of industrial pollution. But it's been cleaned up, and it is a beautiful river today. It can be done. If we get out of Mother Nature's way, she knows how to fix it. She created it. We don't ever want to let a good disaster go to waste, and so this is our moment. This is our chance to change the future so that everyone's kids and grandkids can see what we all saw when we arrived. So I thank you. I thank Councilwoman Nelson. I thank Erin for coming and taking the time, and encourage you all to just keep being informed. Get that information so that we're all speaking about the right things. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. And you bring up some amazing points. And one of them is the health department. Because I've had a lot of people come to me, like, call, I haven't heard from the health department. But what I don't want you to do is sit here and wait for them to come in. You start seeing them the message. They hear from you. If you are having problems, call the health department. Call them, not 10, not 20, 50, 70, 90, 100. I don't care if they get stressed out. I don't care if their phone's ringing off the hook. Call them until they respond. Don't let them get away with that. Now that is something you really can do, and I've seen it happen in communities. I've just come from a situation with a legislative issue in California after the huge fires. And I'll tell you what, we did precisely that. Whether we as a community talk to the media, and the media can help you get your story out. Whether we started calling our representatives, state and I am telling you, that's precisely what we did. That's precisely what the community did. Day in and day out, we never let up. I'm telling you the truth. The legislator finally called and said, please, could you shut them up for 24 hours? But guess what? They voted with the people. They will change when you send that message to them. I cannot share that enough with you. Do not get complacent. Do not give up. Do not go away. Make it your job. They want to make it their job to ignore you. You make it your job that they hear you. I'm going to leave you, I'm not leaving yet, but I'm going to share something with you. A friend of mine that lives local, it's someone out in this audience that knows this word very well. I'm going to share it with you. I think it's important. It's called stick-to-itiveness. I was born and raised in the Midwest, and my mom and dad taught me, when the going gets tough, the tough get going, right? And I know Southwest Florida, when the going gets tough, you're going to get going. I'm sure you're going to really be sorry over there in Tallahassee, but you need to get going. But think of the word stick-to-itiveness. My mom used to always tell me, life requires that you have it. Its definition is noun. Propensity to follow through in a determined manner. Dogged persistence born of obligation and stubbornness. That is you. You are determined, you are dogged, you are persistent, you are stubborn, and I'm going to say over and over again, this movement will happen if you rise and you speak up and you go at it. And I truly believe you are in that moment. Everywhere we go, the professionals are here, the communities are here, 500, 600, 700. This is your moment. And it's too bad that it takes such disruption for us to wake up. Sometimes we get comfortable. Sometimes we get complacent. And complacency can sometimes be a bad message to those that can come in here and start changing these policies. And we'll begin with you. I've always been known as a disruptor. And my mom often said, we need to kind of change the definition and how we see certain words. We think disruption is bad. No, it's not. Be a disruptor. Disruption wakes people up. It gets the other side, whoever they are, going, hey, what's going on out there? I want to be involved. And so don't think disruption is a bad thing. Nobody's calling for riots on the street. Disruption can bring us all together to send an enormous message to get the change that you want. It's always been about the power of the people, so here's the people. You can make that difference, and I cannot share that with you enough. So make those phone calls. Light it up. Light it up every single day. Can we have someone else or the audience? I want to bring somebody up.
Let's go real quick. Ashley, get up here. Go ahead up here.
Basically, I think I know why that happened was because the bacteria in the Lake Okeechobee releases, since it contaminated the water the first few rains, and the fertilizers that washed down into Lake Okeechobee, they didn't help it grow. They actually help it die because there was too much fertilizer, and algae started to bloom. And the results were over the 30-day period, the Franklin rocks, I took the water from Lake Okeechobee there. It died in about 16 through 15 days, and then the Caloosahatchee River died in 23 at 4 on the 4th, 23rd, 16th, and the sample from Franklin Rocks died on the 14th of 2016, and they started on the 7th of the 4th on 2016, but Sanibel Causeway, it lived all the 30 days, and that's my results. Then Caloosahatchee would die second, and then Sanibel would never die. And about I gotta read it because it's been 3 years.
to step up and solve this problem by insisting that they use to get the land that is necessary to recreate the southern flow where water becomes en route to the Everglades.
I'll take a shot at that. So one of the issues about the monuments clause is that it can be rescinded. And we're seeing in the administration today that they are doing that with some national monuments. I'd like to see that we get kind of slightly different idea, and that's because south of they don't want to sell land, but water around is an obstacle. So what about paying landowners to farm water instead? This gives us a chance to get water out of the still they still farm, but they're paying water. So we aren't paying subsidies. We aren't paying a lot of the infrastructure costs that come with that. And it's a win-win across the board. We've got to have some political will to make that. So water quality is absolutely another, well, it's a volume problem and it's a volume problem. And chicken and egg, they're both, but the fact is that there are requirements that we clean the water. There are a number of properties that purchase our products that are to start cleaning water. So we're moving in the right direction that way. But at the end of
I hear what you're saying, and I do want to share with you, yes, it's a pollutant issue, and yes, we don't want the pollutant. This is why it's so important you all speak up. There are several issues affecting this whole situation. It is a pollutant issue, and this is why we have got to mobilize all of you to get that message. Change to get up there, because that is the problem. We need to sit down in these conversations. I assure you, until all of you mobilize, group after group, community after community, and they respond to the masses, 10,000 of you, 30, 40, 50, 60, they will respond. So you're going to have to fight to force them to move, to begin a process of how they're going to change the conditions in Lake Okeechobee. You don't have to you living the rest of your life. If you speak out.
You're making me rise. Pesticide. Talking about like, oh, that's one problem. We got pesticides going on. We got chemicals being dumped into our water supply. I stand before you in the name of God, in the name of country, in the name of self, and say that I am rising with Erin and every single one of you. I am sick. I have proof in my hands. My family is sick. My dogs are dying. There's people in here with their granddaughter that's sick. There's other people over here that their friends are sick. I just got out of the hospital being there for 7 days. I now get on the plane and leave this because the doctor says they do not know what the poison is that I have before me. They do not understand what they mean. So when we asked for our federal government, I wrote to President Donald Trump last night. The first time in my life, I am the guy that did that. Standing up for the country. Standing up and saying, of all of us here, I am here in your name, and your glory.
this is why I know many of you having health problems. I need you to call the health department, call the health department, call the health department. They may not know that all of this is going on. Another thing that you can do, I have created, and it's been up for years, a community book, a self-reporting map. All of your information is not going to be shared, but if you're having really bad experiences, you're not getting a response from the health department, and you continue to call them, you can report to communityhealthbook.com. And what happens with our software is it will alert us when it sees what it thinks is a cluster. That can help me help you, because as I start getting all of these reports, I will start calling your health department. I will start pushing on your officials, and I will help get that message out.
I'm not as great a speaker as the last speaker, thank you. And I just have to thank you for your helpfulness. And my children and I were in Indiana, I'm from there, this summer when the whale shark washed up on Sanibel Shores. We were actually in the midst of watching shark week. And sharks are very dear to my children's hearts. And it was devastating to see what's going on at home. And it was hard not to be here when it was going on to help. Actually, I have a call into Ms. Kissenhagen regarding finning, because the Port of Miami is the largest finning port in the nation, and we only have 10 states that have outlawed finning. But when we have major fish kills like this, who cleans up our oceans? Our sharks. And when you don't have sharks, and there's 1 million sharks killed every year, that's a problem. And Florida should be leading us on finning. And what happens are the people who cut the fins off, they cut them off and they throw the shark back in the water in a shark motion. Besides 2 species, I believe, are fighting their fins so that they can swim, so that they can flush water over their gills, so they can breathe. Without the gills, they can't breathe. So, or without the fins, they can't breathe. So when they're dropped back into the water, yes, they do. Sorry. Our neighborhood, I live in a neighborhood who has canals and golf courses. 2 things in our neighborhood that we responsible owners when we have these. We have a Facebook page, and I've tried to reach out to my neighborhood as far as stopping the fertilization of our golf course, and of course, it's hard to convince people to golf or have a view from the back of their home of a brown golf course. How do you convince them that they feel the value of their homes are going to go down? You have a $300,000 to $400,000 home, and it's going to go down. So my question is, how do I convince my neighborhood to practice safer environmental measures and convince them to do so?
That's an excellent question. And it's very hard to convince others of something they may not see a certain way or they may not understand. Or convince them when they're frightened or for a whole host of reasons, like I said, they don't always want to come out. Be patient with that. Continue to provide information. And for those that utilize it, want to join with you, good. I've learned that oftentimes those that don't, or what they're upset about is they're feeling a push, that they have to be convinced of something, and they're going to resist that. Provide them information, communicate with them, let them process it. We talked about that today. This has happened to me. I see it happening to communities. I know it's happening to all of you. There's a deluge of information coming in, and it's pretty overwhelming. They need time to process it. So continue to do that. I'm also going to say this, as we kind of wrap up, and I'm going to go back over. Things that you need to have, I'm telling you, you're going to work. We've talked about stick-to-itiveness. You're going to call your health department. And I'm going to answer a question, show of hands. How many of you in this room are having some type of health issue from this bacteria? So it's most all of you. How many of you have called the health department? So there's not that many of you that have called the health department. Keep calling them, or I'm going to tell you, report to communityhealthbook.com. And when I start seeing the masses, I'll start making those phone calls for you. So please, you have places to report, but not if you don't do it. Health department, you can call your state and local officials, and to my point, how things can change in your community. You have city council right here in every single place in Florida, Naples, all over the place. They all have their own city councils. Let me tell you what, if you're at a really, you should go, because they're sitting down there alone half the time and listening to themselves talk, because nobody has showed up. So we can get mad at them, but oftentimes they don't know what you're mad about unless you go. So start going to city council, because the question you ask, that's where you can get some change at that very local level.
The answer I keep getting is we have fertilization bans until October. And that's not working. We have fertilization trucks in our neighborhood all the time, so they're not abiding by the law.
So, okay, and let me share that with you. So you've been there, and it hasn't changed. Then go back and keep going back. We had a situation, Bob and I, in California. Nobody had been going to city council telling them their grievances. So we shipped them, brought them all in a bus, 4,000 of them. Let me tell you what, chamber was open until 3 a.m. They heard all 4,000 people. The next morning, remediation was in place. So you can make a change. So don't be defeated. If you don't get what you want once, don't give up and go away. Go back again. And so we as people, we just go away. Speak up and let them know and keep coming back.
Thank you, Erin. Taking action is what we're all about. And from Hands Along the Water, we're a nonprofit organization. We're dedicated to protecting marine life, water, through education and activism. If you know about our group, we're doing community activities all over. And I'd like to invite everyone in this room, and please the water groups, if they could join us. And Erin, if you could show up in Tallahassee on October 20th at 2 p.m. We are going to have a big, peaceful protest and let the politicians know that we want action on this environmental disaster, and we mean business. And we need a lot of people to show up, so we need you to tell all your friends. I have flyers. My husband has flyers out there. Go to our website, go to our Facebook page, and I would hope that you guys will show up and support us and help promote us as well. October 20th, 2 p.m., we take action. We are doing education events in communities. We're doing this across the state. You know we've done a successful event already. We are working our tails off, and we're trying to recruit and help and get people to help us. So please go to our Facebook page, go to our website, join us, volunteer, help us. And Erin, I don't know where you're hiding, but please, if you could join us, you would help attract a lot more people to our event, and we'd be really grateful. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Carl Bowe. I'm president of Cape Coral Friends of Wildlife. I'm president of Audubon Association of Florida. I've dedicated my life to the environment. 7 or 8 years ago, the Other Lakes Coalition, I got up and told them to send the water south. Did they do anything 7 or 8 years ago? No. I went to Tallahassee. I raised 4,300 signatures to put Amendment 1 on the ballot. Have they used any of that money to clean up the embrace? No, because they don't allocate the funds. So I tried to put it on the ballot through the process of the amendments. And one of the amendments I wanted on the ballot was to fully fund Amendment 1. We could get $150 million a year to fund this project of saving our water. But I made the argument 6 months ago that people were going to be out of work at the beach. There are going to be people, the fishermen won't have any guides because of the red tide. And it came true. I predicted this 6 months ago. All the time I've done that. And the solution to me is I talked to a man who is a scientist and the Potomac River and to protect Chesapeake Bay. And their solution was to make berms. And this is what we need to do, make berms on the Kissimmee River and all the tributaries to stop the flow of the nutrients. This works because hundreds of thousands of crabs have come back to.
Thank you, Carl. We've got a long line, and I really want as many people as possible to be able to get information, questions to Erin. So could you please pose your question? Carl, we'd like to move it on.
I'd like you to look into berms on the Potomac. They work, and they will clean up the river, and of course, everybody send the water south!
So questions, please.
Yeah, I'll try to get to the point. Thank you for everybody for showing up. It shows we care. Our property values are dropping. I was actually in St. Augustine yesterday thinking of selling my house here in Cape Coral because I don't see a solution that's going to settle in the future. I do see it maybe 5, 10 years down the road. We've been hearing this for 20 years. We already voted for the land purchase south of Lake Okeechobee, and they spent that money. The one thing I'm noticing today, everyone's talking about sending the water south, and nobody's talking about what the real problem is, and that's the people putting the pollution back into the lake from big sugar. It's big sugar, everybody here knows it. Everyone else is kind of like, okay, yeah, septic tanks, yes. Fertilizers, yes. Cow manure, yes. All these things do contribute. So many people tell me to just shut up because it's not big sugar. It's all these other things. Well, we know it is big sugar. They're the ones that pollute. They have this GMO modified nutrient now. And in the last 2 years, since Rick Scott took all the regulations away, they can do whatever they feel like. Now, we have to vote for people that are going to make a difference. Rick Scott could care less, and that's that.
All right. So we.
The question. Okay. I'm sorry.
We'd like to give everybody a time.
Yes.
Because we're really short on time. So
the question that I have is, I have health issues. My family has health issues. Is there somewhere we can go to get tested and find out what we should do to try to fix them?
That's a good question. A lot of people are asking that question. They don't know a lot about the long-term effects. There are some studies where they're coming out and doing swabs in the nose and seeing the bacteria in there. The appropriate people that should be doing that is going to be your health department. So again, that's why I've said if you're having these health symptoms, you've got to call them. A lot of people are going to their doctor. This is a public health issue. Call the health department.
They say go to the doctor, but the doctor doesn't know how to test for it.
Okay, that's if they're not answering your phone, show up there, and that's a very good idea. It should be your state health department.
I can tell you that.
I'm sorry for sounding like I'm yelling.
So you can show up, but again, I'm going to say they don't know much about it long term. They are starting to find it in the nostril. They're not saying much about what you can or can't do about that, but it is a public health issue. So if your health department's not responding, you need to find out whether it be some of your representatives or your city council why they're not, or show up, but they need to know. And I'm going to say one more time, please, if this is happening, you can report to communityhealthbook.com. I'll pick up the phone, I'll call the media, and I'll just start screaming my frickin' head off. I can't believe somebody's not listening to all of you. I gotta tell you for the last time, I am baffled. I don't know where the hell your state is in such a crisis. Business is failing, people are sick, but I am telling you, I need you to start making those phone calls and start shouting from the rooftops. So, listen, we're on our way, and we can put roadblocks up everywhere. I'm going to give you things to do, where to report, and how we're going to start pushing through this. Nobody's going to sit out here and have a solution for you tomorrow. But I need you to rely on yourself.
But the hospital said they didn't believe you. They don't know why. They said, you didn't get that from the ocean. I was in the ocean.
You know what? Listen, you're going to hear that noise. You've been in the ocean, you're sick. Take care of yourself. If you're having issues, report it to the public health. You can report it to Community Health Book. And that's going to be most important because I don't think anyone really knows the masses and how sick you are. So you're going to have to rely on yourself, know yourself, take care of yourself, and report. Nobody's going to have a long-term idea right now. Let me tell you what, a new bacteria, a chemical, takes 10 years to be studied before they can conclude whether it does or doesn't cause cancer. So I'm not going to have an answer for you. And this is why I want to say, I can only be truthful with you. I can't be anything else. I don't have the answer for you right now. I don't know that anybody is. And this is why I'm going to call upon you to know yourself. If you've been exposed, you think you've been exposed, and you were sick, go to a doctor and get treated and take care of your health. And then I want you to report it so we can start seeing the numbers. That's what's most important.
Erin, got an announcement about that right here. Yeah, to answer this gentleman's question, there's going to be very limited testing, blood, urine, and nasal swabs at the Broadway Palms Theater from noon to 4 p.m. on October 15th. It's being done by an epidemiologist out of Florida Atlantic University named Adam Schiffer. But he can only take 120 people, so you must sign up with Carl Dyert's Facebook page. So if you're interested in getting tested, now note also that this is for research purposes only, because we're trying to gather some information, so we're not going to be able to give you the results of those tests. They may tell you whether you're testing positive or negative, but you will not get the results of those tests. But it's important we start gathering some of that data. That's happening.
Have to. Precisely. That's
Broadway
why I asked
Palms,
you to call
October
the report.
15th from noon to 4. And that night we're doing an economic summit at 6 o'clock.
And I do want to say that Lead Health has just started trying to track some of these cases. We have some very preliminary cases from August. So I would say that if you go to your doctor or you go to the health department, wherever you go, insist that they report this as part of the, and all I'm saying is that they're starting to just take notes of it.
My name is Jose Gilles. I don't have a question for you, and I'm going to make it very brief. First of all, I live in California 47 years. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart about the real You are my hero.
Thank you.
I moved to Florida 11 years ago, and this is not acceptable, folks. We have elections coming up. Tell you, government, who they work for. They
Hello, but really quick, I did have to have a surgery this December for a bacteria again in the backyard of my house. Just cleaning my bone, I killed myself, surgery 3 weeks without driving, plus 6 months of antibiotics. This was this January, February. My question is, I hear that if this Florida becomes a federal state of emergency, it's going to be a different protocols that are going to take place, no it's federal yet. We need our Congress or the President to declare it. And they tap in bigger funds. The Army Corps of Engineers, they have a different procedure what to do with the water if it becomes a federal state of emergency. They can send the water to the sugar plant right away because people is getting in an emergency, like they're gonna kill people. They don't send it now because they say they can kill the people and the communities that are south. But it becomes a federal state of emergency, now us, we can send it there, and then we will pay them for the land or whatever. My question is, if we can prove that they're killing us, because they say cyanobacteria is linked to liver cancer, and that's lethal, and to other cancer, colon, well, you just mentioned it. Can we prove that they are killing us slowly, but they are, and try to get from the federal or the Congress a state of federal emergency?
There's a lot of, yes, there should already be federal and state emergencies. Emergency down here. I don't know where the hell they are, but it should be a federal and state emergency. Regarding the bacteria and cancer, unfortunately, these take time. They can't just do a study and know immediately.
But there's plenty of research that proves
there is some, but depending on the bacteria,
cyanobacteria.
Cyanobacteria. It's complicated, but here's one thing they need: data sets. Data sets. This is why I've said to you how important it is that you either report to mycommunityhealthbook.com. There's data sets. And a lot of times agencies get information and it sits somewhere. This is self-reported, you can take a look. But we need those data sets, and we need to get those data sets to researchers and scientists that can make conclusions so you have better health or medicine or determination what this bacteria will or won't do to you.
And the state of federal state of emergency will help us. We will have more money, more resources.
I think they want to answer.
One issue that relates to almost all these health issues, I can't make this up, toxins from harmful algal blooms are not regulated contaminants in this country. That's what enables the Florida Department of Health, CDC, and other organizations to drag their feet on this issue. I can't make this up. World Health Organization has standards, has guidelines, not been adopted. Many states have not adopted them. So here's one takeaway thing that I think might be useful. Let's ask the Florida Environmental Regulatory Commission to make toxins from harmful algal blooms contaminant in the state of Florida. That's one thing you
do. And I just want to say that there is a state of emergency that's been declared, but these aren't well connected to actions. And I state emergency, right? Yeah. So we are on a very short time. We have just a few more questions we can ask. Come visit with those of us afterwards if you could. Just let's try to get as many people through as possible.
My question was, since a lot of people in government and big positions right now don't even believe that global climate change is real, what's that we could convince them to put enact change towards this water crisis?
Show up. And again, trying to, you know how you convince someone? You have your information, you have your facts, you have your numbers. I mean, going all the way back to my first case, that's what I did. And I started getting more and more information, more and more people, and putting the piece of puzzle together. So that is something you have to do. Listen, you're going to have to do some of the work. It's not fair, but you are. That's why I say report health issues. That's why we're saying in masses, get up to Tallahassee. Let your officials know you're angry. Get to your city council meetings. All the grocery organizations, all the business organizations, all the city of chamber organizations, every single one of them should be joining a force and getting up there and sending a message. So it's going to require work. And I know, I wish I could come in here and give you a magical answer. I can't. But what I need to do is motivate you all to stand up and begin that process. Information, reporting, facts, documentation, and numbers of people. You're going to change this. You can fix it. And if you're going to wait on the state of Florida, you're going to be waiting another 50 years, and then it's going to be way too late.
Thank you.
Those are things that you need to do.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I don't think people realize how big of a problem this is. You know, locals drive 100 miles from the South Coast to the coast. Wow, Everglades is huge. Everglades today is 1/5 of original size. Only 20% And this is a huge problem. Ideally, the solution to this problem is to stop all the agriculture in the area, especially sugarcane. I don't see this happening. And my question for the panel is, what do we do? If we're going to change a governor, maybe things are going to be a little bit better. I don't see any significant improvement unless we stop the agriculture, especially, like I said, the sugarcane. So in terms of a solution, I'm really asking, what is our goal? What are we expecting? Because the agriculture is very bad. I'd like to see it stop, but I do realize it's a big part of the economy of the state of Florida. Many people's jobs.
Okay,
so,
let me jump in because we're really short on time. So the agriculture contributes from north of the lake. Those are the dairy farms and cattle are the highest contributing portion to the lake historically. The backflowing from sugarcane does contribute. Here is the plan. The plan is that we ask our state to incentivize moving water south for water farming. If we're farming water for crop, we don't have the same conflict. Because we can't do this for legacy, if we got rid of all the agriculture, we still have a problem. Because the water still runs south and into the Okeechobee. What we can do is prevent new pollution from getting into the and into our river. It doesn't just come it's almost 2 Lake Okeechobees in size. So nobody is harmless. It's not just. Thank you. I'm from Sarasota. I live face masks. We haven't been able to go outside. We've had serious health problems. I have 2 questions for the panel. As far as I know, there's no medical test for BMAA exposure. Is that correct? Second question is, why aren't they testing for BMAA? How do we get these tests? Part of our solution up in Sarasota, what we're hoping to do is fund and build independent testing labs to drive around Florida and test the waters in your community. The reason this is important is because there are multiple sources of pollution. We are hoping that these independent testing labs will be able to turn around test results quickly. The current problem is that the water has to go to a brick and mortar facility, it takes 3 days, your kids are already in the water, you find out 3 days later there's a problem, either E. coli, pesticides, fertilizer, phosphate, or BMAA, which does cause cancer, ALS, Parkinson's. I want to find answers to why we are a ALS and pediatric cancer hotspot here in Southwest Florida, and hopefully this will be a starting point. I am going to say we have to cut it off there because this is going to be I think our last question. I'll let John respond and then closing comments by Erin.
Great question, great concern, relevant to public health issues. You can test BMAA in water, you know that. Most of the BMAA testing is done as autopsies, but it can be done. So that a cheap test for water is $350 a sample, $350 a sample. For human tissue, that's another issue. If you contact me afterwards, I can put you in touch with somebody. I think they do that.
We do actually have a PhD scientist who's willing to support our project. And so if you see it as part of our crowdfunding campaign or hear about it on social media, please support us. We operate one of the largest businesses in Florida. We are based up in Clearwater. My name is Eleni Marinucci. I'm the Digital Solutions. Digital Media Solutions. We are the largest advertisers and marketers operating online, and we would like to support this type of project to try and create at least part of the solution to what happens to Clearwater. Talk about this is what is the black block. So hopefully that's the starting point.
Thank you. I just wanted to jump in here real quick and talk about something a little different. I think we kind of didn't really get into today. That's solutions that we have on the table right now. The Everglades Agricultural Area Reservoir is currently sitting in Washington, D.C., pending federal authorization and funding. That's a project that if we get it implemented in conjunction with Central Everglades and Taniami Trail, will cut discharges by over 50%. We need to work on that. We also need additional water treatment south of Lake Okeechobee, and we also need to prohibit nutrients from getting into the system. So make sure you keep your eyes out for any policy changes that have to do with that. The next thing I want to say is watch out for solutions that are not really solutions. One of those that is on the table right now is deep injection wells. Some of our policymakers right now are trying to sell the public on a terrible idea that we need to drill holes down 3,000 feet in the ground. Yeah, keep doing that one. Keep doing that one. Yeah, that's something. It's a huge concern. It's terrible for the environment. We don't know what geological problems that can create. We do know that it's a nail in the coffin for the Everglades. So please be on the lookout. When you hear deep injection wells, boo and thumbs down. And look for any time you can support policy that is going to stop nutrients from getting into the water. And we have these solutions on the table for the reservoirs. Support that and ask for more. So I just wanted to make sure. And there's a SCCF, Pollution Waterkeeper. There's a lot of other Cabinets for Clean Water, a lot of other groups in there. We are watching those solutions every day. So keep up to date. I'm not a doctor there.
We have to close this down, and I'm going to give Erin the last few comments. Come up and ask questions after.
Well, I have a hard stop at 4 because I got to catch a flight because I'm going to D.C. The phosphate mining is a problem. Listen, and I can come back and have more. I am very well aware of every environmental problem going up and down this state, and it's not pretty. Phosphate mining is a problem. You definitely have a problem with big ag and over-fertilization that is clearly causing these algae blooms. You definitely... What? My Facebook's blocked? On my Facebook? I have no idea that you're blocked. So I can talk to you about... Well, I'll talk to you about that in a minute. Okay, that's okay. If you just give me a minute, I'm happy to talk to you. I want to finish here because we need to wrap up. So if you just give me a minute. Phosphate mining is a problem. Ag is a problem. It's bleeding out into Okeechobee. It's going into the canals. Part of what they're starting to look at, it's a big problem in Florida with the blue-green algae, is the use of Roundup. So there are definite chemical problems happening all over Florida. We're going to have to nick them off one at a time. Right now, you've had a crisis, with businesses failing, tourism leaving, an economic issue, health impacts from this algae bloom. Now, I'm going to tell you again, start making those phone calls. If you want, go to my community health book and light it up, and I will start pushing that information down to your politicians who should be down here right now answering all these questions for you. So, leaving today, I feel hopeful that you will do your job. I will be back. I want you to report to Community Health Book and make those calls. There'll be no way I can answer all your questions today. But there are amazing organizations that have your back, that are working along with you. And I need all of you to make sure you continue to work together. And we're going to keep pushing forward and stay at it. Nobody's going to have an answer for you tomorrow. But I mean it all day long I've said, you're going to be the change. You are. So, thank you very much. And I'm sorry we didn't get the last questions answered, but we have a plane to catch. So, I want to thank you all for coming today. I think they probably know that. You know how to email me at ErinBrockovich.com. I want you to go to Community Health Book so we can start looking at all of your data.
I want to thank you all for coming today. If you have questions, you can email any of the panelists and tell them what your panel concerns are. Erin has to be in the house.